Yanis?
The direction of change is all important. You see, it's very different to say that, okay, let's find out whether we should be spending more money on a shelter for battered women in the Sudan or victims of a civil war. It's quite another to say, we have been funding these particular centers, and now we're going to defund them and turn these people out into the street or to the dirt. That is a morally obnoxious decision to make.
Absolutely.
This is the definition of a false saving. I really do not understand what has got into Boris Johnson, because the saving is insignificant in the grander scheme of things by comparison to every other piece of expenditure in the budget. I can only explain this as an attempt by some part of Boris Johnson's universe or inner cabinet, to appeal to voters who always get excited by the thought of defunding, bloody foreigners. But if I may say, Fiona, because Gillian mentioned vaccinating the world, I think it's important to look at some very stark numbers. Since the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020, the G7 central banks have printed $9,000 billion supporting the banking system, quantitative easing. $9,000 billion, $3 trillion. The International Monetary Fund 3 weeks ago estimated how much it would take to vaccinate humanity. Everyone, with 2 doses of, whatever it is, AstraZeneca or Pfizer or whatever. And the total sum came to something like 33 billion. 9,000 billion has already been printed. 33 billion would be enough to vaccinate the world. The G7 central bankers should do that tiny little thing that is necessary, a little blip in their printing presses would be sufficient to pay for the vaccination of the whole world without the taxpayers funding anything.
Becky, you've had your hand up throughout this.
Yeah, so I would agree completely with the points that have just been made. I do think that it's shameful, and I think we're almost just forgetting the human side of this. Countries are these conceptual things where we put barriers and borders in place, and there's been wars to try and get more land and power. And actually, there are parts of this globe where you've got horrendous suffering. People are dying as we speak, and they're suffering as we speak. And then you've got other parts where there's a massive amount of wealth. I don't think it's helpful to compare ourselves to other countries and say, well, we're doing more than they are, so we're absolutely fine. Well, they're still suffering. So I think while there is evidence to show that these contributions are making a massive difference, we should continue to make them, plus sending vaccines over. I don't think we should just be decreasing funding at this time. I think it's ridiculous.
Okay, we've got another question. I want to take it now, which is from Will Drakes.
Yeah, hi, Fiona. Is taking a knee habitual tokenism or a massive step towards tackling racism?
Now, of course, Will, you're talking about the controversy there's been about the England football team taking the knee, and the other Wales has taken the knee as well, for example, and then the booing that then came after it. And there's been comments on either side saying that it's a good thing to take the knee, and others thinking, as you say, that it's tokenism. I mean, Frank, I wanted to come to you. Obviously, this in sport, this started with Kaepernick back in 2016.
And my opinion changed over time. Initially, I was very hostile to it because I thought that it was a direct insult to our men and women in uniform. The whole reason for these...
Why did you think that happened?
Because it was done for the Star-Spangled Banner. It was done at the beginning of a football game, and it was done during the Star-Spangled Banner.
During the anthem, yeah.
And so my issue, but I've changed. My opinion has changed. I think that everyone has the right to express their point of view, and if you are fortunate enough to have a platform like we all have here, then you should be willing to use it. But we also have a responsibility as well, and if fans want to express their opposition to it, they have the same right. We should be encouraged.
So the fact that they boo, you think is equally valid?
I believe that we should be encouraging speech, not limiting it. And this is my fear of cancel culture, my fear of the moving towards woke, that we will do a better job if we can discuss it, if we can talk it out, can debate it out. And we are a much more open society today than we were 12 months
It's
ago.
quite hard to have a debate in a football stadium, though.
But I just don't think that any chilling of freedom of speech is helpful to anyone at any time. Simply decide when you want to raise it, decide what you want to say. I've been having points of view here in this discussion. I don't speak every point. I know to keep my mouth shut. I'm a foreigner here. I know that I have limitations.
Despite your Union Jack shoes.
I was going to say.
Because I love the United Kingdom, and I hope that it reigns, and I hope that it remains unified. I like it here, and I like what you all represent here. For that gentleman up there, for the population who said that this is a good country, you know what? You are. You're a great country, and you deserve our respect.